Grievance go to show. Grievance go to show. Grievance go to show. Don't you know? That's right. Coming at you nearly every single day. Not really. I had to take a few months off of doing shows. I do apologize. I'm out here in Los Angeles. That's right. I'm actually hoping to pitch Tarantino some ideas, even though I am a Roger Avery man. Just kidding. I'm not really intimidated by anybody. I don't follow anybody else's rules. I tell you about the novelization to a television series called Linoleum Blown Apart that I'm working on. I'm a man of little secrets. I don't know. With sunglasses on, might look a little different. I don't know. They're kind of played out. Can you guys see how gloomy it is here? I moved to Los Angeles, and the weather's for shit. I mean, it's just like, I can't win. I'm going to put these back on. I just want to make sure you can see my eyes. So I didn't write a script and then move to Los Angeles like a lot of doofuses. So what I did was I moved to Los Angeles, and then I developed the idea for this story. I was going to write a completely different book. My writing's always on Kindle. It's always, connected in the comments somewhere. You can find it. And so I wrote a memoir back in, what I did was I pieced writing together from, over a decade. And that was over a decade ago. That was 2015. Pieces of shit like this alleged Kevin from Criminal Class Press, part of the bitch crew operatives that were on me from 2017 to 2018. There you go, Kevin. That's for you, bitch crew. You phony. 100% connected to disconnected records and people like that. People of that ilk who I bested in Michigan, and they can't fucking handle it, so they have to work with corrupt police officers to run an op back in 2017. 2018? That's right, bitch crew. Fuck you. How about that? So anyways, around after COVID, I move out to Los Angeles. Look at it out here, guys. It's terrible. It's like, ever since I moved here, the weather sucks. I've been out here for 3 years. So what happened was, I worked a couple jobs, and, sorry, I'm out of breath from yelling. I went and got an office, and I had about 3 months where I could free associate some ideas. And I created things like Surfing the Aggieverse, Clicky, Clicky, Swipey, Swipey, Scrolly, Scrolly, Likey, Likey. Like a lot of this kind of stuff, this kind of silly, playful stuff, along with the narrative to Linoleum Blown Apart, which was my band in 2004 era, when I was being fucked with by the War and Tattoo crew. Now, the War and Tattoo crew is the reason why Eminem was in a film called 8 Mile. It's 8 Mile. I call them the War and Tattoo crew. This is part of my nomenclature that I create right here on this show, and that's why I'm the best to pitch anything except for my hairstyles. I've been wearing the same clothes for 10 years. So I've been wearing these t-shirts for 5 years. I put on 2 of them because there's so many holes in them. And I've been wearing this shirt. I bought it like last winter. My car broke down. And so I lived in my car for a year. So I'm still homeless. I still live off the EBT menu. which is $200 a day. I started paying payroll taxes in 1978. Okay. I'm perfectly capable of working, but I had to do some medical things. And so those are kind of wrapping themselves up right now. Anyway, so what I've been doing lately is I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And one of them is I do surveys for Amazon's Mechanical Turk. I make about $0.25 an hour. Okay? So when you collect from your payroll taxes that you pay into, you can make up to $300 a week and still collect a little bit of money. So I used to be a libertarian, but I understand it's way more complex than that. I think libertarianism is silly and childish now. I understand that we live in a two-party system, and I also understand what's known as payroll taxes. So, I mean, if you're going to sit here and cry about this, cry about taxes, and cry about all this stuff, yeah, the government is way too invasive, and look at where it's leading us. It's leading us not only into another civil war, but what they like to do during wartime is to have a reset. And this is a historical and psychological reset as well. Okay? You guys want me to take these off? So you can see I'm not all shifty-eyed. Right? That I'm being honest and forthright. Like, no, we don't need that. We need your shit. So what they do is they do these huge resets. Okay? And they do historical resets where they eliminate much of history. Now, according to Anatoly Flamenco, if I'm saying his name right, lousy Ruski, 1,000 years of history is added or missing. I believe it's missing because it's added. You guys grasping this concept? And other scholars have kind of identified this. Anatoly Flamenco did a 12-volume thesis about this, right? So we talk about a lot of things on this show, and one of them is the reset. Right now, what's going on is it's known as accelerationism. So these unelected officials like Klaus Schwab, who are connected to Black Ops and people like Henry Kissinger, who created Realpolitik. Now, Realpolitik eliminated ethics and morals from politics. Where you need them the most, when you need them the most, it eliminated that. So that's just how it is. And they tell you everything on Wicca alma mater. That's right. Everything I know, I looked up on Wikipedia. And you can sleuth these things together. It's fairly easy. And I'd like to be more conversational, but I just can't. I gotta like yell out my responses. Okay? I mean to yell at you guys. So right now, I supplement my income. I'm homeless, and I supplement my income by taking surveys online. Okay, so take a look at my live shows, take a look at my playlists, just cruise around my channel a little bit, take a look at the community section for sure. So while I'm taking these surveys, shut up. I smoked cigarettes for 40 years like I was fucking Mickey Rourke's like retarded little brother. I came up in the 90s, and by the way, some big news for you guys. You guys are into Francis Ford Coppola. He's doing his version of Metropolis. It's called Megalopolis. And his is futural, dystopic. You might want to look at the original Metropolis. Oh. I had a cross. So, In the 1990s, I met Francis Ford Coppola. I gave him my headshot. I was only about one of about 100 people to give him my headshot. And he was supposed to do On the Road, Jack Kerouac's On the Road, with Winona Ryder, Ethan Hawke, and the guy who looks like Robert Redford. He is married to Angelina Jolie. Whatever. He was just in Tarantino's last film. I can't remember his name. Anyways, so that was in the 90s. And I also got to work with his son, Roman Coppola, who did all the B-roll on Dracula. So now all of a sudden Coppola's coming out with a new film. Right? So I thought it was interesting. I never... man, I can't remember the guy's name anyway. You guys know it. Just leave it in the comments, whatever. I remember there was a film. Sorry guys, I'm walking. I gotta try to think of a million things. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that because I had brought up the fact that I turned my headshot into Francis Ford Coppola. So in 1995, you could go to Francis Ford Coppola's archives from 1995. You could find my headshot in there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I was in a punk rock band in Detroit in the 1980s, and we were marginalized. We couldn't get any shows. We were being made fun of and all this like kind of really childish stuff that they're still doing to this day. The same people involved in this. It's just really, truly fucking sad. How pathetic. I mean, but the fact is, the industry only allows so many people to kind of rise up and to make that money. That way there's a smaller group of people. These people can be controlled, right? You see a lot of these, they have it perfected now with a lot of these rap guys. They come out with 1 or 2 hits, that's it. And then they kill them off. That way they can control it a lot easier. It's like down to a formula now. It's down to a science. And so in the 1980s, I'm in Detroit and I'm besting anybody else who was writing oi punk at the time because I was writing all the songs myself, of course. Screaming Gordy, that's right. And so we're being marginalized and all this stuff. And, I didn't know how to book shows. I didn't know anything about the quote-unquote BIFNet. So I went on an acting audition and I booked it, my first acting audition, just because they needed somebody my type, that's all. It's all typecasting, which I have no problem with. And so for about 10 years, I became an actor. I moved to New York and worked as a production assistant. And so I did that, and like I said, that's where I met Francis Ford Coppola. I tell you these stories. And that's why I moved out to Los Angeles, because I'm not really intimidated by anybody. I don't really care. I'm not impressed. I'm here to work. I'm a worker. I'm an earner. When I was an actor, I was really into David Mamet. He is more like a man's man. He wrote manly parts for men. Right? So I was really into that, and I was really bringing my working class background to it. I write about it a little bit in my book called Two-Legged Animal. Don't forget, my writing's going to be linked in the description. I'm trying to do audiobooks right now, so that's my next move. Plus, I got a couple other things going. I'm getting ready to post another draft of Linoleum Blown Apart. I'm working on that right now. So, just to let you know, my television series, which is like watching a 30-hour film, is an ode to the midnight movies. I am the son of the midnight movies. So that's basically what it is. It's an ode to the midnight movies. Okay, because before the age of the VCR, we had to go see these crazy films by David Lynch and John Waters. And again, I understand what the prudish alt-right Christian values is all about, and they have every right to feel the way they do. If you participate in racism, you're a moron. Racism is fake. It was created by the Ku Klux Klan here in the United States, and it was a psychological operation. And it's still a psychological operation. And racism is for local gangs, local police departments, and local news affiliates. So that's just a fact. There is no way around it. It's fake. And again, if you buy into it, that's your problem. I never have. I never will. I could see it exactly for what it is. Most people marry people who look like them. And so the media, is there an attack on white people? Yes, obviously. They're making it so obvious. It's pathetic. And if you buy into it, it's like, are you going to buy into this part and dismiss this part? Or can we just dismiss it all? And I'm at the point now where I call the media, I refer to them as media deep blue, because it's like the first AI from IBM was called Deep Blue. And that's HAL. And that's the basis of Stanley Kubrick's 2001. And what you're doing is, more than likely, you're watching the On the Monolith. This monolith goes to Wikipedia, take a look at orthogonality, and you'll see it aligns with base pairs in your DNA. I was talking about Amazon. I do surveys for Amazon Mechanical Turk. And Amazon just began sending a woman information with regard to being a new mom. Started making suggestions, started sending her to pages where she might want to get something for the little toddler before she knew she was pregnant. Okay? She didn't know she was pregnant, but Amazon did. And don't forget, Bezos's grandfather was in the Pentagon. And I knew this years ago when I first started my show. So you always got to stay tuned to my show. I promise you I'm going to do more episodes. I promise. Right now, I'm taking surveys through Mechanical Turk, and I'm making 25 cents an hour. Let me go back to that. I want to talk a little bit about Aaron Schwartz and reCAPTCHA. Recapturing our inner robot. That's right. Everything in the news right now is telling us that we're being replaced by robots. Okay? So there's a company called reCAPTCHA. And reCAPTCHA started off as a company uploading books from libraries to the internet. Right? So if you can get it free in a library, there's no reason you can't go online and get it for free as well. That's how they started. And so for over a decade, they've been telling us, are you a robot? Right? They're feeding this into our minds for a good decade. It kind of reminds me of the Space Shuttle Challenger blowing up in the 80s. Total psychological warfare on the American people. But anyway, so the company reCAPTCHA, that's how they started. And Aaron Schwartz was also doing that. He was going to, I believe, possibly Yale. I could get it wrong. I don't know the difference between Yarvid and Hale. So, I gotta run across this. So, that's what Aaron Schwartz was doing. He was uploading books to the internet for free. He was doing the same things the guys in reCAPTCHA had started their company by doing, saying that that's what they wanted to do, and that it ended up turning into a verification program, is what I'm saying. Okay? So, Aaron Schwartz self-harmed through hanging. He did this back in 2013. I believe it was part of the Meta murders. In case you don't know, I keep talking about this operation they ran on me in 2017, 2018 to try to get me to unalive myself. You can see I'm still here. I'm actually doing better now as a homeless man in Los Angeles than I've probably ever done in my life. I'm accomplishing more. And you'll notice this if you get towards the end of your life, you'll start accomplishing things more because you're able to think differently. Okay? And like I was saying before, you have to eliminate all of this media deep blue. At this point, I can't buy into any of it. I just can't. It's not going to happen. So, you guys want to see, there's some people, I don't know if you can see them paddleboarding. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know what you can see. See them, like, over here somewhere. I'm by the LA River, the famous LA River reservoir. Okay? So, I throw out all these media deep blue stories. I laugh at them. Some of them are true, some of them are not. But in taking these surveys, they're asking a lot of disturbing questions. I've been doing this for the last few months to supplement my income for $1/4 an hour. They give me about $10 a week. Okay? And that's a little bit extra spending money that I have that I'm legally allowed to earn. So my next episode, I'll be talking about Linoleum Blown Apart. I'll be going over the entire outline. And like Nicholas Pileggi and Arthur C. Clarke, I'm going to be writing this at the same time as it's in production. The only production video for Linoleum Blown Apart you have is this one right here. Beep. Okay, so a very sophisticated military op was run on me in 2017 and 2018. And it was designed to get me to unalive myself. And I've already explained to you how they got Bourdain, Cornell, and a couple other people like Kate Spade as well. This is how they get people to unalive themselves. They don't have to creep into your house and do it manually. They can do it through your device. Okay? So it's very important to talk about this. It's very important to bring this kind of stuff up. A lot of people are talking about, mental health issues, etc. And like I'm telling you, it's literally coming from your device. Okay? Are you living orthogonally within your device? I know we all do, and we develop relationships through our device. But we have to continue the relationships outside the device. And that's why I'm here in Los Angeles. I'm writing up Linoleum Blown Apart, which you will see get made. When I moved to New York as an actor, I didn't move there because anybody in my family was in the business. As a matter of fact, I worked with some of the most pathetic people whose family were in the business, and they were pathetic. And I bested them just the way I bested all the bands in Michigan, but I couldn't get any support. I couldn't get any support from Chaos Records or Scooch Pooch or whatever little fucking record company was around at the time. I certainly couldn't get any support from them. And for me to put out everything myself, I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not that big of an egoist. I mean, you would really have to, be able to run a label and do that kind of stuff. So I can't do it. The other guys in the bands, I was writing the songs. The other guys in the bands that were in my milieu, they actually had other people in the band to write the songs. They were just lyricists. They wouldn't write the music. Okay, so this is really important, and I think it gets lost on a lot of people. I know I'm in like a really loud area. I don't know if I can go down here or not. It's a little quieter. It looks like a private parking lot. It's LA. You could kind of go anywhere. You're not going to get arrested. And The reason that they have this stand down order with the police department is because they're perfecting the panopticon. And your behavioral correction is going to come through your device. Okay? That is truly the scary part. That's the part that should scare and worry everybody. Because that's what they did to me. And they did it to me for years. But like I said, I knew major drug dealers in Detroit. I dated an ecstasy dealer connected to the Gambino crew in New York. I always kept my mouth shut. I never said nothing. And I was part of this really horrific op, and they wanted me dead. They wanted me to go ahead and off myself. That way, you know, they have plausible deniability, right? PD, police department. They're usually working with the police department. Now, you have to understand something. The police department are dupes. They're flatfoots. They don't know what's going on. They can't really see the big picture. The reason they have these stand-down orders and are allowing people to steal in stores is because, man, I'm hot. It's because they're trying to crash the economy, and they need the economy to crash in 2025. That's next year. That's on the 17-year cycle after... Take this off. It's on a 17-year cycle after 2008. Okay, so you have a metonic cycle. I already talked to an astrologist, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about this 17-year cycle. I believe it's the cycle that corresponds with the Christ riding in on the ass. It belongs to the donkey constellation, believe it or not. And so again, these are all my studies. These are all my studies as a mature male. I was 100% bitch made, but that's just because my father abandoned my family and I had only 4 women in my family. And so until, you know, like my 30s, this feminine quality, I just naturally had it. It was just being shy, being very, very shy, being very quiet, just being an observer and figuring things out. Well, I am 58 years old. I pretty much have a lot of things figured out. And one of them is that they are going to crash the economy. They're going to crash the economy in 2025. So this is why you have DEI. Okay? So don't be like Kid Rock shooting Bud beer cans. Okay? And being mad at some trans person that they put as the spokesperson. Okay? This DEI is to get people uninterested in the stock. Now, the stock is going to go down and it's going to come up pretty hard, right? It's going to take a drastic up and down stroke. And so that is key to crashing the economy. It's going to make it appear as if it's unstable. And they're doing this, they're forcing this. And they're forcing this through this accelerationism. It's accelerationism into the panopticon. It's accelerationism into this propaganda, media deep blue propaganda. Okay? These stories are actually written by AI. Excuse me. So I'm thinking, it's probably not, but I'm thinking it's so sophisticated. Sorry, I'm all squinty. It's not even sunny out and I'm all squinty. They're so sophisticated that they might be able to omit certain aspects of a story that's sent to me as opposed to being sent to you if we're sent the same story. This is what I was trying to say in my live lectures last year. Take a look at my live shows, guys. Take a look at my community section, please, and thank you. What they're doing, they meaning these unelected officials like Klaus Schwab, they're part of this accelerationism. They're accelerating us into a future whose playbook is Civil War, Book of the Apocalypse from the Bible, 1984, and as well as The other guy, I always forget his name. Anyways, so there's only a few scenarios that they have, okay? And these become interjected into our thought process. And so they can like trigger this stuff. And your device is a neurological weapon. Don't ever forget it. Always look at it like that. Because that's what I do, okay? And so I'm taking these surveys. They pay me about $0.25 an hour. I make about an extra $10 per week taking surveys on Mechanical Turk. They're asking me all kinds of questions. One of the questions they're asking me is, they're framing, it's not going to be rent to own anymore. Okay? Remember when Klaus Schwab was coming out saying that you don't own anything? You're not going to own anything in the future? That's how it is. That's how these questions are geared. Okay? That's how they're formulated. They think that we're going to go into a store and put down money on a computer and possibly pay monthly for a computer, and when we're done with it, we're going to turn it back in. It's not our computer. That was one of the first things that was on here, on these tests, okay? The other one they talk about are, self-driving cars and stuff like that. So I answer all of these tests with my honest reaction. I don't try to bullshit the test. I spent about the first week taking these tests just trying to figure them out, and it took me about 2 weeks to kind of figure them out. I lost a lot of money. A lot of them cut you off, and you have to report the hit. It's like, hey man, this hit cut me off. I wasn't able to complete it, right? A lot of these hits come from China, okay? So the whole notion of geopolitics has changed. What they're doing right now in the book of Revelation playbook, right? The apocalyptic playbook that they're running right now is that they're coming in to some place like the Ukraine and they're destroying it. And then they're gonna send in the Bank of International Settlements or somebody like that. They're gonna come in, they're gonna refinance, restructure it. Then all the construction companies are gonna come in, they're gonna rebuild it. And at this time, they're going to redefine the Ukraine's history. They're going to change it, okay? And that's called a reset. It's a psychological reset, guys. That's what they're doing. And so this is a playbook that they installed back in World War II. And they're just perfecting this playbook, okay? So it doesn't matter where wars take place. Let's not forget that the Ukraine is part of the Aryan Empire. The Aryan Empire ran from the steppes of Russia all the way down to India. A lot of times, especially in India, they would allow for these tyrants to come in and to rule over the plebeian people, right? And so these tyrants, they would get from another culture. Many of you would call it the priest class in India, right? The Brahmin class are from the Ukraine. And that's what creates the, you could check it with DNA now, but it creates the physical differences. This is why they were talking about blue-eyed men. These blue-eyed men went down to India. And this is the kind of thing that Tiny Mustache Man was actually looking into. And a lot of his stuff. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. I wish I could do a full-length episode. This should be my full-length episode. I'm going to try to do another one tomorrow. And I can do these little palatable bites of half-an-hour shows. I gave you a lot of information. Aaron Schwartz, I meant to say, I'm sorry. In 2013, he unalived himself through hanging. And I believe he was one of the first victims of what I call the meta murders. The people who are coming after me were Fed rats. They were utilizing the Facebook app to do it. Make no mistake about it. This is why Elon Musk fired all these POSs from Twitter. Every single social media site has its own AI, and this AI is ascribed to you, and this AI will pull you in. It's the AI that indoctrinates people. Okay? That's what does it. It's not the person reading something and being a dupe. Okay? This is totally different. I listened to Kid Rock, and he was on one of these shows, and he said some broad sold all of her stuff. She gave away $30,000 of her money, and she thought that she was coming to Kid Rock's house to marry him. Okay? She was targeted by these Fed rats. These Fed rats did this to me, and they did much worse, while people like my drummer for my band in the grievance committee and my wife were laughing about it. They think this kind of stuff is funny. You're gonna fucking pay for it, make no mistake about it. And when you lie to a federal investigator, that's a crime. They already know what your answer is supposed to be. That's why they ask you a bunch of questions. My wife and my drummer and a bunch of other people have to worry about these federal investigators knocking on their door. Me? All I have to worry about is sweet death and when it's going to occur. I live out on the streets. I put my money where my mouth is. And don't you ever forget it. Thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.